Hello, welcome to another briefing. Today I wanted to talk about the oppressive heat that we will be unfortunately dealing with still for the next couple days, and then the big relief that we are supposed to see after that. So I'm going to start out here with the pressure heights map. This is what's going on with the air pressure from 18,000 feet, at the 18,000 feet level down to the surface. What the mean pressure is in that column of air going down from 18,000 feet all the way down to the surface. What's going on with the pressure heights? You can see this very high area of pressure here, 600 decameter high pressure center. That's very strong, even for summer. So this is gonna translate to a lot of heat over the intermountain west, particularly the areas of such as Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, into Idaho as well. We're gonna have temperatures in the 90s all the way up to 5,000 feet. We're gonna have even temperatures up to 80 degrees up to 10,000 feet. I was just looking areas like Leadville, Colorado at 10,000 feet. Gonna be seeing potentially 80 degrees today, which is really warm for that altitude, mind you. So yes, please beware. Please stay hydrated. Please take it easy on yourself. A lot of these mountain areas don't have air conditioning, as it does not tend to get that hot that often in those mountain areas. So please beware if you are up in the mountains. I'm going to put this into motion and just show you what's going to happen over the next few days and why we have some much needed relief on its way. So let's put this in through going through Friday, Saturday. You can see the ridge starts to break down by the time we get to 5 p.m. Saturday on the Pacific time zone. And then watch how it kind of expands again, but it's weaker. You don't have that 600 decameter line anymore. And look at this. We notice this troughing starting to make it down in the Pacific Northwest and then also down through the plains. This is gonna translate to a major cool down for a lot of areas as we see this ridge starts to break apart. That dome of hot sinking air starts to shift and break apart, and that cooler air is allowed in by this trough. And I'll show you the next map in a moment and have a better depiction of that. But here as we go through Monday, you see this ridge kind of tries to set up again. It kind of does establish itself over the four corners, where it'll still remain pretty hot, but elsewhere, Pacific Northwest and northern plains into the northern part of the Rockies here, much cooler air. I'll go ahead and show you that now. So we're looking at temperature anomalies at 5,000 feet here with this map. And this is starting us out today, Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And look at this blob of hot air associated with that ridge I just showed on the other map. Major hot air here over the Rockies into Idaho, Nevada, Wyoming, Montana. All of these areas going to be seeing a lot of heat today, as evidenced by the temperature anomalies here. But as I put this into motion, watch what happens. This is as we go into tomorrow. See that heat starts to shift a bit, starts to relax. Look at this. Sunday, 8 p.m., we start to see negative temperature anomalies entering northern Montana here. This is the beginning of this. And then look at this as we go through Monday and as we go through Tuesday. So this batch of cooler air, this pocket of cooler air starts moving towards the Great Lakes, and you have another one behind it that will be even stronger. And look at what happens with these anomalies here. This is much colder air than normal. It's going to be moving down the eastern side of the Rockies, through Montana, eastern Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, all going to be getting a nice shot of cooler air as we move in through this upcoming week, perhaps an early taste of fall. Look at that. Look at that cooler air. This is going into Saturday the 10th. This is going to last quite a bit too. Look at that. Going into Sunday the 11th, Monday the 12th. Now, as we go further out in the computer model runs, the forecast becomes less accurate, but it gives you an idea of what might be happening with the atmosphere at that point. And this shows a pretty prolonged cool down for this area, which will be much needed. Now let me go ahead and show you the temperatures. So notice here, you're looking at the high temperatures for Saturday the 3rd. Still a lot of heat. You're looking at 100s in the Central Valley of California, 90s for a lot of Western Oregon, even upper 80s all the way into the Seattle area. Boise 103, Twin Falls about 100, Sun Valley, Idaho 94 degrees, 90 degrees for Stanley. You have a lot of Montana approaching 100 degrees, a lot of areas in the 90s, even upper 90s. You have South Dakota in the hundreds. You have Colorado, you have Denver approaching 100 degrees. You have 102 Grand Junction. You have mountain areas in the 70s and 80s, very warm. And then you put this into motion here. Sunday, look at that cool down for North Dakota, only 70s. Look at Montana, some areas only in the 80s, only around 90. And then you look at Monday, look at Tuesday. But look at Monday, the coolest day here. Look at only 60s for North Dakota. And you're looking at 70s for a lot of South Dakota. You're looking at Wyoming, hottest spots around 90. Montana back into the 70s and 80s. And then you're looking at Tuesday and the Wednesday. See that cooler air starts to progress further south. Much cooler air, 60s and 70s. It might even start to feel chilly across some of the mountain areas of Montana here. Looking very mild and comfortable for North Dakota, 70s. Looking at only about 80 degrees for South Dakota. Wyoming, widespread 70s and 80s. And then Colorado, some areas here. Look at what happens on Thursday. The Denver area might barely hit 80 degrees. Certainly below average, only in the 90s for Grand Junction and Montrose. Getting much cooler around here, only 60s and 70s across the Dakotas, down into the plains. I'm just going to show you a different view here, because I think it gives you a better idea of just how this cool down occurs. And you can clearly see here the boundary in between the cooler air mass, much cooler air mass, and that hot air mass that's been persistent over much of the summer. Look at this. You look at, as I was showing earlier, like this day, Thursday the 8th, Denver might barely hit 80 degrees. And look at these areas in North Dakota, and look at Montana, not getting out of the 60s for some areas. It's going to be very comfortable, much cooler air, even extending all the way to the Great Lakes. Chicago only in the 70s for August. That's very mild. And as we go through Friday, Saturday, and then it starts to heat up again. This is Saturday the 3rd. But just taking it from Saturday the 3rd, look at this 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, into this weekday. Look how much cooler and comfortable it gets. Into Monday the 12th, it's still pretty mild across most of the plains and the Midwest here. Denver still only in the 80s. It's going to feel a lot more comfortable here. So happy I can bring this news to you. And then just a little something to watch in the extended forecast, still quite far out, but worth of noting. Might have a significant cool down coming for California down the line. We're looking at August 17th now, so this is way out there. This might not end up verifying because it's still pretty far out in the computer model guidance, but it's something to watch nonetheless. And this would be a significant cool down, significant blob of cooler air making it down to California. 5,000 foot temperatures could be near 10 Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit, which is much cooler than it's been in recent times. See this colder air, this shade of blue and like kind of magenta-ish coloring has not been apparent on this map for, I want to say, at least a couple months. This would be much cooler air finally making its way down into California. As you could tell earlier, look at the imprint of this colder air mass moving across the plains. That's what I was just talking about earlier. You can clearly see on the 5,000 foot temperature map how this colder air starts to sink into the plains, and then maybe as we go further into August, mid-August, we might see a pocket of colder air make its move all the way down into California, which would be much needed relief for California, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and a lot of the plains and the Rockies would be getting some much needed relief from this heat blob that's been over us for so long. To finish off this video, I just wanted to share the simulated Doppler radar for what the rain and storms might occur over the next few days. So for this afternoon, you can see the activity is mostly over Colorado, parts of southern Colorado, parts of New Mexico, Arizona, into California. You notice there is a possibility of thunderstorms in the Sierra today as the wraparound moisture around this big ridge of high pressure that's been over the Four Corners wraps into California. And you'll notice that a lot of areas that usually get some afternoon thunderstorms, such as a lot of northern Colorado, a lot of Utah, a lot of Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, will be dry today under the influence of that strong high pressure system that I just mentioned. Put this into motion, that's today, and then you go into tomorrow and you have a little more activity shifting a little further east. As the ridge shifts to the east, you have this corridor of subtropical moisture inducing thunderstorms shifting east as well. So we have more activity over southwestern Colorado tomorrow, and we have that activity moving into Utah, Nevada, Idaho, and parts of Oregon as well. As that ridge shifts, we will have the shifting in the rain as well. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you were able to get something out of it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.